Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Monday morning breakdown. We do this every Monday morning right at this time, 10 a.m. I'm John Murphy, along with Chris Brown, Bills Insider from BuffaloBills.com, here to break down yesterday's Bills game, yesterday's Bills victory in the Meadowlands against the New York Jets, a 41-10 shellacking of the New York Jets.
That was fun, wasn't it?
I didn't see that coming at all, Chris. I really did.
I'm not going to say I did either. So I'm right there with you. Same boat, and probably a lot of other people were too.
41 points from a team that had averaged about 6.5 points in the previous 3 games scored. You can't predict that. You can't even think of that.
No, and I think if we just go back alone to what the Bills had to do just 4 short weeks ago, putting a veteran quarterback in the form of Derek Anderson with 12 days of preparation, and we saw the results of that. Here it is again with a different person in Matt Barkley. I don't know that anybody was expecting dramatically better.
No. I did not have high expectations for Matt Barkley, having not seen him play in several years, and he had not played in 1 year. He had a camp with Cincinnati this year. But I thought he was really good. I thought he was focused, determined. I thought he was desperate, Chris, when you think about it. And he kind of indicated that when he talked in the post-game locker room, when he talked about how he knows he can play in this league. He didn't feel like he had anything to prove to anybody. But certainly he had to prove to himself that he could still play after essentially sitting out for more than a year. I thought he ran the offense with some urgency, made all the throws he had to. The ball came out on time. He was confident in his arm and what he was doing downfield. Got good work from his offensive line and good work from receivers, but it was an impressive performance from a guy who has played before, but maybe has never played this well. He had to think about it, right, when he was asked if he ever had a game like this before.
Yeah, he said maybe.
Yeah.
The thing that I was most impressed by was the timing that he had with his receivers. I mean, this is a guy that did not get all the starter reps going into the game this week. I mean, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Josh Allen was getting some first-team reps. I think even Nathan Peterman got some. And then Barkley got the other. So you're talking about getting only a third of the reps. You're new on the block. And to have the timing and the accuracy that he had, I mean, that touchdown pass to Zay Jones, I mean, these are not plays that just happen. They come through countless amounts of repetition. So to see him execute the way that he did and the timing he had with his receivers was probably the most impressive thing for me.
It was impressive. 41 points is impressive. And let's get to 4 down territory as we take a look at 4 different issues from this game. First down for the Bills, LeSean McCoy. He's back. Shady had his biggest game of the year. 26 rushes, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. The second play of the game, he went for 28 yards and found the end zone. It was a fast start, and I think a fast start was key for this Bills team. And McCoy got great work from the offensive line up front. There was one change, obviously. Wyatt Teller got the start at left guard, but even without the changes, I thought the entire offensive line played well and came kind of rededicated to get LeSean McCoy involved in this offense.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Wyatt Teller on a couple of series, and boy, I mean, he was playing like an animal out there. I mean, he looked like a beast, a man-possessed, a guy that wanted to just wreck people on every play. It was exciting to see that energy up front. But I think that, McCoy made some plays on his own, like that spin move that we saw there to go for extra yardage. We saw the McCoy that has been so productive for this team the past 3 years, but I think he was energized when he saw that his offensive line was winning at the line of scrimmage. That was their best day up front by far, and you see the difference that it makes for an offense when you have a line that is resetting the line of scrimmage 2 yards down the field or can hold up in pass protection. Barkley was barely touched yesterday either.
Yeah, I thought he and the entire offense was energized by the first play, the 47-yard pass to Robert Foster, which takes us right into second down territory. Robert Foster, a career day for the Bills. Zay Jones with a career day for the Bills. A couple of young, fast receivers make big plays. First play from scrimmage, play action fake, and Barkley's ready to whip it downfield, and there's Robert Foster making a great play on the ball, getting beats, Buster screen. 47 yards, sets up the Bills for that LeSean McCoy touchdown. But all day long, Foster and Zay Jones made big plays. Jones was especially crucial on third downs for the Bills.
He had 5 of the team's third down conversions in the game, Murph, and they went 8 for 16 for the game. I believe that's their highest conversion percentage of the season. That touchdown was also a 3rd and goal that Zay Jones had. So, you look at it, and I think Jones is finding where he fits in this offense. Being a reliable target, helping this team move the chains, and when you had the deep pass element alive and well in the form of Foster, I think it allowed Jones to work the underneath stuff and work on just moving the sticks, keeping the possessions alive.
I thought there was an infusion of speed in the lineup, obviously represented by Foster and by Isaiah McKenzie, who's not a rookie but a second-year guy. and even by Terrell Pryor, who's got a couple of years in the league. An infusion of youth and speed, which the Bills were desperately needed. In fact, Sean McDermott talked about it in answer to your question.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him, I said, how big a difference was, the addition of Foster and McKenzie to the lineup, bringing speed on the field for an offense that really didn't have a lot. And he said that he and Brandon Beane had talked about that for the last couple of weeks, and they felt they were lacking in that area. Yeah. And what it did, Murph, was it backed that Jets defense off, because now all of a sudden they had to cover the whole field, which is different from what we've seen the past few weeks, where teams are just squatting in that 10 to 15-yard area. When you only have to cover 53 1/3 yards wide by 15 yards, and you got 11 guys on defense, you could be pretty darn effective. Yeah. Suddenly when it's 40 or 50 yards, it's a whole different ball game, and that is what opened things up. And LeSean McCoy addressed it also, Murph. He basically said Robert Foster, stretching the field on the first play from scrimmage, forced them to keep that safety back, and he can't crowd the box, and now it's not a 9-man front or even an 8-man front, and suddenly there are openings in the run game for Shady McCoy to exploit. So he said, I experienced that in Philadelphia when we had Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin. Here's the other thing, Murph. Isaiah McKenzie, he's on the field for 15 plays yesterday total, 7 on offense, 8 on special teams. He accounts for 121 total yards. You want to talk about maximizing your time on the field. Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, and I think it goes beyond Jones and Foster, both of whom had career days, with the other guys, like you mentioned, Isaiah McKenzie, and the contributions they made. Third down territory now. Creative play calling. You saw it early on, even though the Bills would go 47 yards to go deep on the first play from scrimmage, but early on in this game, the fake punt, Logan Thomas, former college quarterback, picks up a first down with a 15-yard pass to Robert Foster. And then the touchdown pass to Deion Dawkins, first Bills offensive lineman to score a touchdown in 13 years. Yeah, why wouldn't the offensive play callers have a go-for-broke attitude, Chris? There's desperation, after 4 straight losses. They had to do something different. And I think they had to re-energize this offense. They did it with some very interesting creative play calling.
Yeah, and I think players appreciate it when coaching staffs show their faith in them to execute some of these unconventional plays. And I got to credit Danny Crossman with the fake punt, because he schemed that up great. I don't know why the Jets have their gunners play off so far, but what that does is it gives your jammers play off so far, because it gives the Bills gunners a chance to get off the line of scrimmage. And so Foster gets to run an inside fake on that route, and he completely turns the jammer around in space. And as soon as that guy turns his back, the Bills have won on that play. All Logan Thomas has to do is get the ball to Robert Foster on that play. So, you look at it, and yes, you tip your hat to the players for being able to execute those unconventional plays, but the coaching staff also gets it. I mean, that's a play on offense there to Dawkins, a touchdown that's been in for a few weeks, according to the players. They finally get the look they want, and they can execute it.
All right, now let's get into fourth down and our look at the 4-down territory. In fourth down, we become accustomed to it now, right? Strong Buffalo defense, allowing just 116 passing yards to the Jets yesterday. Josh McCown making the start for the first time this year. That's the best performance by the Bills' pass defense so far this year. And what do you know? You wake up today, you look at the rankings, and the Buffalo Bills are the #1 ranked defense in the National Football League with 6 games to play. And they also got their 2 takeaways yesterday. A great interception downfield by Matt Milano, a later one by Micah Hyde. The defense had been playing well, but they came into the locker room the last several weeks talking about how you got to get takeaways. They got 2 of them yesterday, including Milano's interception, which came when it looked like the Jets were on their way to march downfield.
Yeah, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. I mean, you're doing your job there alone. I don't know about you, Murph, but Josh McCown looked like a 96-year-old back there. I mean, he looked like a geriatric patient at a retirement home. I mean, he got old in a hurry. And then, I don't want to take anything away from what this Bills team did in all 3 phases yesterday, but, I mean, the Jets looked like they didn't even show up.
I agree.
I mean, they didn't even show up yesterday. Would the Bills have won that game had the Jets been more competitive? I believe they still would have. They just wouldn't have won 41-10. Might have been a little bit closer game, but holy cow. I mean, Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. The seat is like on fire now, because they came out and didn't even look like they wanted to be there.
Yeah. All right, let's get into crowd noise now as we get some reaction to you. And we start crowd noise with really part of what happened during the weekend. Or no, we'll start with this. Facebook, Zay Jones, here it is. My game-worn towel dedicated to one of the biggest Buffalo Bills fans. Pancho, we love you. Stay strong. Keep fighting. Beat the odds. Pancho power. The Bills had a special pregame visitor in the team meeting room on Saturday night. Pancho Villa, the cancer-suffering Bills fan, one of their most loyal Bills fans, who was brought in by the Bills to speak to the team at a pregame hotel meeting on Saturday night. obviously inspiring Zay Jones and all of them. I think even after the game, they talked about what it meant to hear from Pancho Villa Saturday night and how much that helped them play yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job in terms of trying to relate to the players. I mean, he was comparing his situation to that of the players. Granted, football is different than fighting cancer, but he was, one of the things that I thought he said that applied very well was, you know, he said, I'm fighting cancer. I go to a chemo treatment. I feel like garbage the next day. You guys play a game. You lay your bodies on the line. Your bodies feel like garbage the next day. So there were some ties that he was trying to pull together between himself and the Bills. And I give him credit because at the very end, he took his mask off in the speech. He kind of said, hey, this is who I am. You know, you guys don't have your helmets on now, so this is me. And, you know, and he threw a little humor in, too. At the beginning, he started just rattling off Spanish. And the only guy that said keep going was Juan Castillo, the offensive line coach. But that got a little chuckle and kind of lightened the mood there before he got into some of the heavier stuff.
It was a great start to the weekend, the victorious weekend for the Bills. All right, crowd noise now. Response from you, and we'll go to Sue Frazier on Twitter. She said, keep Barkley in. Let Josh sit back and learn as long as possible. Go Bills. I understand that, Chris, but I disagree. You know, you really want to get Josh Allen meaningful reps here.
Yeah.
Barkley played well. But to think that this is going to result in a playoff run, I think is kind of far-fetched. I like what Barkley did. I thought Barkley established himself as a contender for a roster spot for the rest of this year and into next year with the way he played yesterday. But I really want to see more from Josh Allen in game repetition. And if he's 100% healthy by the time they play again on November 25th, I say Josh Allen has to play.
Right. Once this team hit 7 losses, I think the priorities shifted, and I think the evidence of that came in the form of who was getting playing time yesterday. You've got a rookie in Wyatt Teller at left guard. You've got Robert Foster at wide receiver called up. You've got Isaiah McKenzie acquired via a waiver claim. And you've got Levi Wallace called up from the practice squad. There's a clear indication here that the priority has shifted to getting young guys playing time, helping them develop so they can be bigger contributors in 2019. The same applies to Josh Allen. As soon as he's healthy, which through all of our anticipation is going to be coming out of the bye for the Jacksonville game, he's got to get on the field. The more time he gets this year, the better he's going to be in 2019 when you hit the ground running and you're really going for something.
And Buffalo's offensive success yesterday was not solely the result of Matt Barkley.
No.
I would like to see Josh Allen work with some of those other guys,
Well,
Isaiah McKenzie and some of the others who played so well yesterday on offense.
Because you see what this offense can be if the offensive line can control the line of scrimmage. You see some of the skill position players and what they can bring to the table. It's like, okay, let's drop Josh Allen into that so he can benefit from all of that positive play that's going on that went around Matt Barkley this past week. So let's see if it can duplicate itself in the form of the Jacksonville game in a couple of weeks.
Okay, more crowd noise from you as we get your feedback on social media. Justin Lamb on Facebook. Grade for Wyatt Teller, Chris and John. I mean, I watched the game over this morning. I'd be hard pressed to give you an exact. I'd give him a B. I think the whole offensive line played well, really well.
Yeah, and above average grade, I think is safe to say. I didn't watch every play of his performance individually, and it's also hard to grade because of the fact that you don't know what his assignment is on every single play. So is he executing his assignment well? He didn't get called for any penalties, so that was good. I think the team only had 3 or 4 in the entire game.
3, I believe, right?
Getting the penalty count down is huge for this team. And they even overcame a penalty because Jordan Mills got cited for an illegal block in the back, which I thought was a little bit of a phantom call, but they're able to overcome that and still finish the drive with a touchdown. So encouraging signs all the way around from being as mistake-free as possible, and then when there is a mistake, being able to overcome it and still keep a drive alive.
4 penalties total after the game in which they established a franchise record for penalty yardage the week before. A big improvement there. One more bit of crowd noise from you, and it comes from Jeffrey Stephen on Facebook. Can the Bills put together a run? Sure they can, Chris, but they still have some issues that they have to deal with. I will say this, the schedule mitigates towards them playing well down the stretch here, right? They've got 4 of their final 6 games are at home. That helps a lot. They've got another game against the Jets, 2 against the Dolphins, home games against Detroit and Jacksonville. Yeah, they could put together a run. Again, I don't see this as a run right to the finish with all victories, but I think they're going to get out of this with at least 3, maybe 4 more wins.
Right, and we've talked about how the schedule lightened up considerably. The front half of the schedule was the hardest in the National Football League in terms of opponent winning percentage. The back half is one of the weakest in terms of the opponents they're going to be facing. Jacksonville might have sounded like an intimidating opponent at the beginning of the year. They've lost 5 in a row. So who knows if they'll be able to get back on track while the Bills are sitting at home during the bye. but that's a team that's going the wrong way fast, and I don't know if they're going to be able to pull themselves out of it. The Dolphins are struggling as well. Brock Osweiler looks like a house on fire right now, in a bad way. At quarterback for the Dolphins.
What's a good way?
Well, you know, when they say a player's hot, oh, he's a house on fire,
Okay.
you know, in a bad way.
Okay.
In a bad way. So the house is burning down in Miami right now, and they got throttled by the Packers last week. So you got teams that are struggling that are next on the schedule, and the Bills are going to have 2 weeks to prepare for that Jaguars team.
All right, let's get into our 2-minute offense as we take a look at the rest of the NFL and start with the Patriots, who shockingly were surprised by Tennessee. Titans jumped out early, 17-3. This touchdown pass from Marcus Mariota. He was solid in this game. They went up early. The Titans got a great game. They won it 34-10. Tennessee now 5-4. Touchdown run here by Derrick Henry. Tennessee solidly in contention in the AFC South after their surprise victory over the Patriots yesterday.
We know what the odds makers thought of the Browns and Falcons game, but the Browns had something different in mind. Here's Baker Mayfield finding Nick Chubb, getting to the end zone for a touchdown there against Atlanta, and then the handoff from their own 8-yard line, and here goes Chubb Rock. You know the judo, a chop, 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 going 92 yards. He's a rapper at Burp. Chubb Rock, he's really good too. But here's Nick Chubb going 92 yards for the touchdown. Browns win.
Colts and Jaguars. The Colts were strong with 3 touchdowns in the first half. A couple of them passes to Eric Ebron. He also ran in for one. But it was a 3-point Colts lead with 1.5 minutes to go. And Rashad Green fumbles it away for the Jacksonville Jaguars, stripped by Kenny Moore. The Colts win it 29-26. They've won 3 in a row now, and they are 4-5.
I don't know about that call, though. Lucky break for the Colts there for sure. Going to the Packers and Miami at Lambeau. Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams twice on the day for touchdowns. Also with 2 touchdowns, Aaron Jones, who had 145 yards on the ground. Packers win going away 33-12.
Kansas City at home against the hapless Arizona Cardinals. Patrick Mahomes, 2 touchdown passes, 31 touchdown passes this season. He breaks Len Dawson's 54-year record. Both of them to Tyreek Hill. Hill catches this one, and then he goes into the crowd and grabs a CBS camera and takes pictures of his teammates. Big win for the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday at home.
Those ideas are getting out of control. Rams and Seahawks. Todd Gurley headed to where he's practically built a second home this season, the end zone for the touchdown, and then here's Brandon Cooks on the jet sweep, finding the front right corner of the end zone for the score. It was a close game at the end, but the Rams prevail 36-31.
So you got the Rams winners, the Chiefs winners, and the highlights we showed before that. And here we go. A week from today, the big Monday night matchup in Mexico City. The Rams and the Chiefs, the game that people have talked about for the last, more than a month, really. Maybe the biggest Monday night game we've had in several years coming up next Monday night.
Yeah, and the team that plays the better defense is probably going to win this game. And on paper, anyway, the Rams have the better defense by far. The Chiefs have had trouble stopping people, although, you know, they're played well enough to get that win yesterday.
So our look ahead includes a look ahead to what the Buffalo Bills are up to now. They're in the bye week. Players at work today. They're going to get the bulk of this week off and come back to work next week and start to get ready for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, the quarterback news will be prominent this week, especially. Josh Allen continuing to throw. He threw right through the week last week, and I'm pretty certain that the goal is going to be to get him ready to play against Jacksonville. They have another quarterback, too, Derek Anderson, who was in concussion protocol and missed yesterday's game. So both of those are questions that are going to have to be answered, not necessarily this week, but by this time next week, I would think.
And Coach McDermott is scheduled to talk earlier than usual today. Because it is a bye week, he's going to be addressing the media at 1:30, and we'll be carrying that live on the One Bills live show. So we'll be able to hear from Coach and see if he can shed any light on which way he might be leaning at the quarterback position going forward.
Chris is going to join us on One Bills Live as a co-host today. Steve Tasker makes his way back to Buffalo from his CBS game in Green Bay late yesterday. Chris will be with us as a co-host. James Lofton, who called the game on CBS, will be with us today on the show. And Matt Barkley is going to join us on the show today. It'll be a good one. It's One Bills Live coming up 12 noon on MSG and on our flagship radio station, WGR Sports Radio 550. Thank you very much for joining us today on our Monday Morning Breakdown. We'll see you.
Big win!
Yeah, we'll see you 2 weeks from today for another edition of the Monday Morning Breakdown. Have a great day, everybody.